All right, so I'm going to talk to you guys about something a little bit different today. So for a second, I just want to get rid of the the high pitched tone that I use for my regular reviews and actually just talk to you guys for a minute and just give you a little bit of an example, but a peer inside of my life the last couple months. So in late July, I wish I had a chair to sit down on, but my chair is what holds my green screen up. And I can't actually, my apartment's a mess, so I can't actually, I don't want to show you that. I don't know, third week in July, I believe. So I'm driving down the street, car, my hands on the armrest or whatever, and the tips of these three fingers started, just the very, very tip started to go numb. And I've told this story a ton of times, so any of my subscribers that are friends of mine, you don't want to watch it, you don't have to, but for those people that I have not spoke to personally, I'm going to actually do what I don't normally do, and I'm going to actually discuss about what's going on in my life. But anyway, so the tips of these three fingers started going numb, and because my hand was on the armrest, or my arm was on the armrest, I just sort of assumed that they were falling asleep. And that's kind of what was going on. So I just I spent time rubbing it like this. I didn't think anything of it. I was kind of went about my business. I know that was a Saturday. Later that day, later in the evening, because that was about noon when that started. It started in the tips of these three fingers on my left hand. And, of course, the majority of most people, you just think that you might have a pinched nerve, maybe you slept wrong, something like that. I didn't really think anything of it because it was just the tips. It wasn't really annoying in any fashion, I guess. So I go to work, I probably spent the next few days just kind of doing this, not quite really understanding what's going on and, doing research and stretching my neck and all sorts of other things and thinking that this is just going to go away. And so within the next few days, it started kind of creeping up the palms of my hands. And when I say numb, the best way to describe it is it's not a complete, it's more like a tingly sensation. It's that feeling that you get after your hand is completely asleep, for example, and right before you get the pins and needles feeling, right before your hand wakes up, it's like that. So it's half numb. It's like the sensations in your hands or your skin is dull, I guess, if that's a way to put it. And so, but within 4 or 5 days, it kind of creeped up the entire palm of my hand. But I don't go to hospitals. I don't go to doctors. I'm a very healthy person. I can count the times I've been to a doctor or a hospital for anything in my entire life. After that, the next started in my toes, and same just in the tips, slightly tingling. Almost, it was so dull and it was so dull that it was almost like it wasn't really happening. Like it was one of those things like you're imagining that is happening. And then the next day I know that I wake up and it was completely in all my toes and going up the tops of my feet, and the bottoms of my feet were also numb and tingly. So at this point we have, the entire palm of my hand is tingly and numb, and toes and the tops of my feet and the bottoms of my feet as well. So, and then these weird sensations started to progress a little bit faster. A week and a half after the onset of all this, it was creeping up my calves. So it was my calves and my shins. It was, at this point, it's weird. There's really no way to describe it. It was just a weird, awkward sensation. It was a weird, awkward sensation. And but even then I wasn't quite alarmed. And I should have been at this point, and I wasn't. So then on the first, I think it was like the 1st or 2nd of August. I know it was the beginning of August. I'm scratching my head and I don't feel like my fingers are moving, even though I can clearly see that they're moving. On Thursday of that week, I go to a hospital that we have here, and they say that I have a paresthesia, and that I need to, I'm there for an hour or two or whatever, but at this point it's all the way up to my thighs and it's very uncomfortable. Not in the sense of pain. I had no pain. It was just discomfort, like you're wearing skin that doesn't belong to you. It's just weird. The hospital, they had me there for 2 hours. They said that I had a paresthesia and that I need to see a neurologist, and that, it's just going to clear up. It's just going to go away. They said by the time I even got in to see a neurologist, it'll probably be gone. So I said, okay, well, that sounds like that's not so bad anymore. So I call off work on Friday, Saturday, and I go to work on Sunday because I just, didn't want to just keep calling off work. That particular day I couldn't write. So I remember I had to, my boss asked me to actually sign a piece of paper, and so I could only like kind of put my initials down. That day also, like my pants on my body, like clothes on my body rubbing against my skin was probably one of the most uncomfortable sensations I have ever experienced in my life. Like, so I literally stood in one location, not really moving. I know that was Sunday, not moving because it hurt that much. I can't even describe the way that it felt having your clothes hurt you. So I pretty much just kind of laid in bed that night, and I got up about 5 o'clock in the morning because what woke me up is I rolled over and my stomach was so numb that what woke me up was I couldn't feel that I was laying on my stomach when I rolled over. So I got up and I went to a different hospital this time. So about 5:30, I walk into the emergency room. I'm thinking that they're gonna run blood work and all those things, and they're gonna send me on my way. And, maybe do some other tests that the other hospital didn't do, because I felt like the other hospital just kind of wanted to shove me out and like, hey, you got a paresthesia, here's some paperwork, go see a neurologist. So I get to this hospital, they run blood work, of course, like the other hospital did, which I knew was going to come back fine because that one did. And they immediately start giving me an IV, which I think might be protocol if you're being treated properly. They did an EKG, an EEG. I think they did 2 EKGs, just the normal things. And so probably, I don't remember the time frame, but within like 2 hours, they had me scheduled for an MRI. And so, I'm texting my boss saying, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. I'm at the hospital because I think I was supposed to be to work 11 o'clock that day. He's like, hey, take your time. And so I'm like, no. So they take me back for the MRI, which, by the way, that was a crazy experience. That took an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. So as they're rolling me back to my ER room, doctor shows up and he says, we're keeping you. And I'm like, how long are you keeping me? He says, we don't know. I'm like, so like a little bit later today, I get to go home? He says, you're not going home today. Yeah, I get admitted to the hospital. Then I had a spinal tap. Like, everything just went so fast. Everything that I'm going through at this point is just super, super weird. Yeah. That morning, I was on 1,000 milligram drip of some sort of steroid. Wasn't the make you buff kind, make you hungry and tired and anxious kind, which was different. So by 10:30, I'm on 1,000 milligram, I think it was 10:30, maybe 11:30, 1,000 milligram drip. And this was on August 6th. That much I know for sure. So every day I saw a neurologist, I saw a neurosurgeon, I saw 2 neurologists, 1 neurosurgeon for a little bit, and then I saw internal medicine doctor, or 2 internal medicine doctors. And each time they kept coming back saying that we don't know what's wrong with you. And the word paresthesia never ever came up. What did come up was demyelination. At the time, I didn't ask, I didn't know what that was. And hell, in fact, because they wrote that on the board, hell, I couldn't even pronounce it for the longest. Tuesday, because I was a fall risk, they said, which at the time I didn't know what that meant. I had a little bed alarm on, so they wouldn't let me out of bed. Pretty much most of Monday, I just got up and went to the bathroom, attached to an IV. Tuesday, I think I got to walk around the hospital. Tuesday night, or was it Wednesday? Yeah, Tuesday night, I could barely walk. So Wednesday morning, difficulty walking. Like I'm walking, like I know that I'm walking, but my balance is terrible at this point. Walking was a major struggle. Wednesday was the day they rolled a walker into my room and said that I needed to use this. I said that I don't need that. And they were like, you do. With the walker, I couldn't walk at all. I mean, I just couldn't coordinate all that together. But without the walker, I had to touch things to make sure that my balance still stayed. Again, I had no loss of strength, but my feet wouldn't do what they needed to do. Like I would constantly watch them as I walked, and they just kind of did their own thing the entire time. That was an interesting time. Thursday, they took me to the stairs. I could not walk up the stairs. I walked up the stairs, couldn't come down the stairs. Again, it was the feeling that your foot and everything from this point now, it's my waist from my chest down. Everything from there down had a numb, tingly sensation. It was like being wrapped in skin that was not yours. Like you touched it, and like I touched my skin, and I could feel that it was mine, but it also felt like it wasn't at the same time. Yeah, when you're discussing this, it's just the only way to describe it is weird. And I've had 2 months now to have better descriptions. If I had have tried to describe this, again, I sat in the hospital and I tried to describe this to friends and family, and they just said, I can't understand what you're going through. I just needed somebody to believe me that I could walk, because the doctors, the hospital, you know, they're constantly just concerned about you falling. So, but in my mind, I can walk. In my mind, I know I walked in this room. I was able to walk perfectly fine. So I mean, you would have thought when they showed up to my room on Thursday, like, because I was working hard, because, you know, I couldn't pick up coins. I couldn't pick up, like, if my phone was face down, I couldn't pick up my phone. My fingers just would not do what they needed to do. I could watch it and I could do that, but it just, you know, like the fine motor skills on the tips of my fingers was really impaired, I guess is the best way to put it. And this is another strange thing. The first night in the hospital, Monday night, I remember just laying there and I'm thinking, like, what is banging? Like there was something just like hammering on the tips of my toes. This is like 3 a.m. and I get up and I'm feeling around like, what's down here? And keep in mind, hospitals give me anxiety. So I'm thinking part of this is I'm just imagining this as it is. And so I take the sheet and I throw it off, because I realized that when I reached down, I didn't turn the light on, which was stupid, but I reached down and I touched something and it just sent the most insane painful sensation through my body. And so I'm thinking, whatever this is must be in the sheet. So I take the sheets and I throw it off, and I'm cussing in the middle of the night, and I get back in bed and I still feel it. And so I jump up and I'm feeling around again and I feel it again. So I grab another sheet thinking, what is in these damn sheets? And I throw it off and onto the couch over there, and I jump back in bed, and then I freeze the rest of the night because it's cold with only one sheet. I should have just hit the little dinger and made him bring me more sheets. So at any rate, a friend of mine that stopped in to visit, she works at the hospital, she said that what's going on is that my skin is hypersensitive from nerve damage. And like right now, I don't know about the rest of you, but like, because I have some residual still that's still healing, but I can feel the fingerprints on the tips of my fingers. It's weird. It's an unsettling feeling, I guess. But my skin was hypersensitive. So the feeling that I was on the sheets or the blanket that I was covered with, it had these little fine little ripples, but it was like boulders when my toes rubbed across it. So I was very, very hypersensitive, and nobody ever discussed that with me, which is strange, but that's why my pants hurt. That's why clothes was hurting my legs, because my legs were hypersensitive. It was very, very uncomfortable. It was very, very painful. It was very, very weird. It was a strange feeling, and nobody could give me answers for anything that was going on with me. They kept saying demyelinating, but nobody ever stopped and explained. And I didn't ask, because obviously I had a million things going through my head right now. One of them was I had to get the hell out of that hospital. So Friday of that first week, because I had the steroid drip every single day, so it was supposed to be 5 intravenous days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday was supposed to be the last day. And the physical therapist comes in and she's like, hey, let's get you out of here. Yeah, let's do that. At this point, I mean, you would have thought there was Rocky music going on in my head, because like Friday, I couldn't sleep. So Friday at like 5 o'clock, I'm up and I'm doing all the physical therapy exercises that they gave me, and I'm picking things up and I'm picking coins up and putting them in like a piggy bank or whatever that they gave me to work on. And, you know, I'm doing all the different exercises. I got a squeegee ball and people, and, you know, and I had an array of all these different items that friends have brought me, and, you know, to work on getting strength back and the fine motor skills and stuff like that in my hands. So, Friday, I'm ready to go home. I mean, you would have thought I was ready to do laps. So we grabbed the walker, and so I zipped down the hallway with the walker, and she's like, yeah, you know, you're doing good. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. She's like, yeah, let's try the stairs. I'm like, yeah, let's go try those stairs. Get to the stairs. I go up the stairs, turn around and go down, and I can't walk down the stairs. I could not feel the steps. So Friday, they wouldn't let me leave. Then they decided that the next step after the steroid was to go to something called Plasmapheresis. They basically put a tube through your jugular vein, and then they have these little tubes sticking out of your chest, and they hook you up to a machine, and they basically withdraw your blood, spin off your plasma, and then replace it with something that comes in a jar, which is weird, called albumin. So finally I asked the plasma people what's going on, and they said that it's something called transverse myelitis. And essentially, for whatever reason, my antibodies attack the nervous system in my spinal cord. The myelin conducting sheath that are on top of the nerve endings, which is what helps send signals back and forth to the brain, is what was causing everything. So it's what was causing the tingling in my hand. It's what's causing the hypersensitivity in my skin. All of those things. Purpose of plasmapheresis is to spin off the bad antibodies and give your body a chance to reboot. And they jokingly called it, you know, changing the oil. Friday was the first one. I was very tired. Sunday, I was 45, 50% better immediately. I spent many days in the hospital, almost 2 weeks, and 12 to 15 liters of plasma removed from my body, replaced with something that looks like lemonade that came out of a jar. It's been quite a few months. I was off work 2 months. I'm very thankful that I was able to get this treated as fast as I was, because I've heard a lot of stories now that I know and heard of transverse myelitis, and some of their stories are much different than mine. I don't know why I made this video. I think I made this video for anybody else out there that might actually be potentially experiencing these things. Don't wait. It's funny because in the hospital they kept saying to me, well, you know, good thing you caught it early. And I'm thinking like, well, shit, I wish I had came in here when this shit first started. So yeah, anyway, so I just wanted to make this video. Maybe it's therapeutic for myself. I don't really know. I don't know. If anybody else out there is going through similar things, or if you've been diagnosed with transverse myelitis, you know, I'm open to talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about when it comes to that. Everybody at St. Francis Hospital South, I'm sure you probably are not watching this. You're probably not watching this, but if by some chance you stumble across this, everybody that treated me up on that floor was fantastic. I can't be more appreciative and more thankful for all the friends and the family that reached out to me. All the visitors in my room was like a party every night. I'm just rambling now at this point. If you ever experience anything like that, go to the doctor, go get checked out. That way you don't have to get your plasma sucked out of your body. I don't know any other way to end this video. One love.